Welcome, everyone, to the Contact Center Perspectives podcast. I'm Steve McDonald, your host, and I am very proud to introduce you a guest we have on today, Simas Tamosaitis. And Simas, you are the Director of Customer Service at Mastermind.com. And that is the company that's owned by Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi. And we all know those names and love what you guys are doing there. And what's great is that we're kind of taking the overall mentality that we know and love, Tony and Dean for, and you've really adopted that and have it as kind of a mission-driven customer service mentality. And I love that in terms of how it drives what you do. And what you do isn't just limited to what you do professionally. You're a father of three, very proud father of three. And I would just say you're a really outgoing, positive guy in all of our conversations. So I'm looking forward to what we're going to do here. But before we get started and kind of talk about this mission-driven, customer service orientation, I'd love to just have you spend a minute or two and maybe explain a little bit more about your background.
Absolutely, Steve. Well, first of all, a huge fan of what you do. And thank you for elevating the different perspectives and just the importance of customer service and business. You're bringing a ton of value to your listeners and you really appreciate it. Just wanted to start off with that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. But yes, I'm Simas. I am currently the Director of Customer Service here at Mastermind.com. I also oversee the QA team, the compliance, and the retention parts of our business. I am approaching 20 years now of serving and helping people solve problems. I started off in the restaurant industry, as a server, a bartender, face-to-face, helping people, to training teams to prepare them to serve in the highest capacity and quality, to leading 8-figure sales teams, to where I'm at today and working here at Mastermind.com. And as you mentioned, the great Tony Robbins, Dean Graziosi. Truly glad to be here talking about CX. It's such a timeless and interesting part of businesses. And Steve, great customer service will never go out of style. And since I get the privilege of being surrounded by people like Tony Robbins every day who live and breathe mindset and motivation, what I've realized is that the same strategies that really drive personal breakthroughs also build great customer service departments. And that's the conversation I'm really most excited to share with the audience.
Let's get into it, right? Let's take that mission-driven kind of a mindset. And we've all heard Tony speak and Dean speak. So I'd love to hear about how you personally, working in that kind of an organization, though, have adopted that into a CS strategy. That would be a great place to start.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really great question. And I want to set the stage for the conversation too on the framework, if I may. I'm hoping that most of the listeners out there, almost all of them, are working at a company in a role that they truly believe in. And if you truly believe in your product or the service that you're delivering, you truly want people to choose you over anybody else, right? And we already know the cost of acquiring a customer is high. Ask any marketing team, like how much effort they put in and just how competitive it's out there. But for us in customer service, we need to be mindful that most of the interactions are either confirming the customer's decision to purchase from you, stay with you, or they're planting doubt that sends them thinking about going to your competitor, looking for different options. So I'm speaking on the principle that the company and the role that you have, you feel that it's a disservice when you lose the customer and go somewhere else. And I want to talk about like what it takes to get everybody on your team feeling that way, where it stings, I lose somebody. So to answer the question, one of the first things I learned is that customer service, the teams don't succeed just because they answer questions quickly. They need the right foundation. They need mindset. They need mission, and they need obviously measurable KPIs as well. Now, when I see a great customer service team, they all have one common denominator, Steve. Their mindset and their team's mindset is on supporting the customer is evident in those front lines. And we really need to focus on the why. And when the companies don't lose focus on the why, everything else really falls into place and the direction and strategy becomes clear. I can give you a recent example too of that being played out.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So like Starbucks, right? Under Brian Nickel, he's currently in the process, just took over, I think about a year ago, and he's trying to really shift the mindset of the customers and their staff. He took over, and there's really nothing foundationally wrong with their business, right? They have a great brand, loyal customers, really robust operation. But they really noticed that they drifted as a company to being a little bit more transactional than they really wanted to. They're efficient, but speed alone wasn't driving their loyalty. So what do? They implemented their green apron service strategy is what they call it. They learned that it really needed a mission. They leaned into it and they really focused on retraining the mindset of the team. So they started writing names on cups again. Right? And while that on paper is not going to add to the revenue, it really shifts how the barista is showing up in the moment and really helped them like create that meaningful connection, or at least trying to. I think they could have done a better job of maybe leaning into that strategy, but in principle, what they're trying to do is really reframe the mindset of the barista and the customer, that it's bigger than just handing out, a cup of coffee. It's not transactional. It's more relationship based. It's bigger than that. So I have other examples too, but the point is, time and time again, I'm seeing companies where their employees feel like they're just answering tickets, just troubleshooting software, or maybe just refunding payments. Because when people see their role as small, their efforts are going to shrink to match it. And the companies with the best customer service connect their employees to that bigger picture. So instead of, I'm just fixing the login issue, it becomes, I'm helping somebody get back into their business so they can serve their own clients today. Or instead of just, I'm answering a simple question, it's, I'm showing this person how to actually get value from the product they invested. So whatever it is, the product or, the service that your company does, what is that bigger picture? And we really should be proud that the customer chose to do business with us. It's our job to solve their problem and help them get to where they're trying to go. And customer service teams just carry so much power, Steve. We have a say in how that customer feels, how their day goes, how their future is shaped by what we sold them. And that really is how great customer service and great customer experiences are created by teams who understand that true impact.
You need to be on stage with Tony and Dean because you've got a way with words. That's for
I know there's a lot there. Yeah.
But here, I definitely want to kind of start to unpack that and dig a little deeper, because one of the things I took away and you started out by talking about how much you believe in your company, right? And you believe that if you're helping people with in and around your company, that's their best choice. And you're truly helping them in their lives. And if we have a sense of purpose, this is a big thing that I'm taking away, a mission, a purpose, right? We're more in on it. And one of the big things in the customer support CX industry is getting agents that are empowered and feel good about what they're doing, because agent turnover can be a very big issue in the industry. But getting people that feel like they're doing something important. There was a great study that came out and it showed everything that you're going to say, yeah, I get it. We all get it. But employees that are engaged means that there are customers that are engaged. And if the customers are engaged, that means they spend more money. They're more loyal to us, right? They feel better about working with us in the company. So my first takeaway here is that you got to really sell in and be an advocate for the mission of your company, first and foremost, to create that kind of loyalty. Is that a good, decent takeaway from what you were saying?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, the way that I try to see it and the way we try to see it here at mastermind.com, and again, playing off the fact that we truly have a bigger impact than what it seems at the surface, is the fact that I get to help this customer, not I have to help this customer. One word difference, but it carries a ton of meaning and really shifts the mindset, right? And too often, Steve, do I see, I'll be a little PC here, but customer service being polite, following the script, really checking the box, so to speak. And while that approach meets expectations, it's functional, I'm telling you right now, it's not going to build engagement or long-term impact. It's going to get the job done, but if you want to be better than average and have your customer service team be the edge for your company and differentiate you from your competitors, make sure that the mindset of the team is right. And if we think about it, right, the day you got your first job or for whatever role you're currently in, like I always talk to my team as well. I try to remind them of like what they felt when they got that job offer to become a part of that team, how excited they felt, how ambitious they were to serve, right? Just so many ideas. I'm going to do this. I can't wait to get started. And there's many times where I see new hires coming onto teams. They bring that energy and they bring that passion. And only over time do they lose that enthusiasm and just go back to checking those boxes, right? So how great is it if we had a team firing on all cylinders and invested and feeling empowered to help people? Picture how the customer service operations look, right? If you have that day one enthusiasm plus the knowledge of a seasoned employee, that's the culture that we try to build. And that's where mindset, I think, is really just central to everything we do.
So how do you instill that? How do you train for that? Training is a big thing in the industry, right? But we usually think about it as training on our products and our services and the knowledge of our agents to be able to adapt and react and handle tickets and calls and emails and things that are coming in, chats that are coming in. Like, what's your thought on instilling and training that within an organization? And does it have to literally come from top down? What if we don't have a Tony Robbins at the top? What if we're kind of the normal people? We've got a really good company, right? But how do we do that?
I do think it starts with the leadership. I think you have to lead by example. You have to show what great customer service looks like and just have those kind of expectations from your staff as well. I mean, look, we know that AI is going to step in as it continues to evolve, right? It's going to naturally take on some of these repetitive and routine tasks. But, when an issue reaches your customer service team and it's an edge case or something like that, that's where the brand is truly tested, where the customer is going to notice how you respond when things are straightforward. And that's where that training, right, and that human agents will make the difference based on the culture and the mindset that you've ingrained into them. It's going to show up in their ability to handle those nuances, how to demonstrate empathy, and really like how they solve the problem too. Because when customers are working to solve their problems with your staff, that's when they really see how genuine the company is. And if your team isn't aligned in that mindset, those moments easily become missed opportunities instead of moments where you can turn customers into advocates. So honestly, just again, training, leading by example, just focusing on mindset and just being repetitive about it day in, day out. For example, we recently had one where, and I'm sure many of us have experienced situations like this, where there was a complex order issue or a last minute shipping change or request. Purely transactional approaches would be just follow the rules, apply the standard procedures, and move on. But if your team is empowered with the right mindset, they really start thinking it's outside the box, and you kind of want to encourage that. And I have a recent example where somebody purchased a Christmas present for their best friend. And I forgot what happened, but the shipment wasn't going to make it on time. So we ended up grabbing a small box, put our brand on it, added a photo of the item in there, even hand wrote a note in there explaining the efforts that customer went through to make sure that the present's going to get in time, and just how excited they were to give it to their friend. But due to some issues that we're the ones that dropped the ball. So it honestly took us an extra 10 minutes, but it's that time that, companies some of them would be spending arguing or maybe defending the situation, but we took action because we understood that the main goal of the item itself, like it wasn't the item itself, right? Although it does matter. It was the experience that customer was trying to provide for their friend. So they still got the present, they still got to open it. And on top of that, we had to showcase the care and thought that this customer put into getting that present. So we kind of took it a little bit bigger than normal, but point being, right, might be more than what some companies are willing to do or able to do, but I'm sure we all have that one member of our customer service team that pulls a little bit more heart into what they do. And that's the point I'm trying to make, is that many times the issue at hand is bigger than the immediate problem. And if we factor in those even routine interactions, we can build a customer service team that doesn't really have 20 different kinds of support. You have technology and people working together to serve the customers at the highest level, consistently. And it's just about supporting them, motivating them, and just highlighting some of these examples.
What I'm taking away from this is that we all know every customer interaction matters, right? But it's different. We can look at it as they all matter. Let me just take care of it. I'm viewed as a cost center. I'm being asked to reduce costs. I'm reducing average handle times or whatever your KPI is, right? And so you can get kind of into a machine-like mode, right? And that's anything but what I'm hearing from you. Like that's the opposite end of the spectrum. How do you think about it? Every interaction matters, because sometimes going deeper means you do spend more time, and more time means more resources. And it's the opposite of being and acting like a cost center and trying to just do things more efficiently versus doing things right. Like, how do you think about that?
Okay. AI, and I'm hoping most of the teams out there, your listeners, are utilizing AI to at least get rid of some of these repetitive questions that are coming in. So the things that are making it to your team are those edge cases or those opportunities for you to go above and beyond. So you don't want to deliver a standard routine experience. You can, but long term, I mean, it's just not going to differentiate you, right? So it's a matter of just empowering your team to really think critically, think about that bigger picture. What am I trying to do here? And just supporting them and motivating them. So I'm a huge fan of examples. So I'll give another one. I play basketball at the gym, and there's this 19-year-old gentleman that I play with, just really motivated, very fit, but he works at a restaurant and making salads. It's a drive-through place here in Arizona. And he just said, it's like, I'm just not motivated to bring 100% effort I have in me. He's like, I'm showing up, I'm putting in my hours, I'm just making these salads, listening to music. Am I really making a difference? And I said, absolutely, because when he's making that salad, he's helping somebody eat healthier when they might have otherwise made a poor choice. He's given people maybe time back in their day where those 20 minutes they would have been spending cooking, which might be, that 20-minute savings might be a game changer for somebody that's juggling a lot. Point is, time and time again, right? When companies and their employees feel like they're just answering tickets or just troubleshooting software, refunding payments, it's just, you can reframe their mindset and think, hey, bigger picture, I'm doing something bigger. I'm showing up. I'm helping people more than just what it seems like at a certain level. And I think it's just necessary for us to continuously just help them see that bigger picture.
I think you keep reframing it in my mind too. And I can see if I was on your team, it's like you have to show them the bigger picture and how what they're doing makes a difference. And that's part of their mission then. And that's a beautiful example, right? Because, you know, if we go to a place like that and buy a salad, that is 20 minutes that maybe meant I had time to pick my own daughter up from dance, right? Where I couldn't before. And that's important for me to be there. And so it's just like, I love how you are bringing emotions into this and making it matter because, like, how important is that, right? Because the emotional side, like, whether it's B2C or B2B, if you're a contact center, no matter what side you fall on, emotions about why you're buying to begin with that product or service are super important on both sides of the equation. So, how important are emotions in the training and building the purpose and the mission behind and instilling that inside of your team?
Ultimately, that's a really good question. I mean, I can put it down to critical thinking. Hopefully I'm answering the question right. But, one of the things I focus on is fostering a team where critical thinking isn't just encouraged. Like I expect it out of them. Obviously we all have our frameworks, our standards, our scripts, all of that, but that's just one layer. I want them to understand the why we have this framework, why we have these standards, why we have these scripts. I want them to use all that, but also critically think on how the situation in front of them applies. And I'm not talking about bending the rules. I'm talking about there's always some discretion within our teams that they have when they're making decisions. I'm talking about that discretion specifically. And I want them to understand that with that discretion, the impact of their actions, both on the company and the customer. So, my goal, and I would mention this a lot, is to build up a team where they see themselves as contributors to the bigger mission. And that mindset is going to help them become problem solvers. And eventually they start seeing these situations as opportunities to shape better outcomes or find better ways of doing it. So ultimately, it also allows them to speak up as well, since they're the ones in the trenches metaphorically and often have those insights that data alone reveal. And I'm sure we can all relate to this, right? When we introduce a new project or a change to the company, most people's first reaction is going to be resistant. It's human nature. But if they understand the purpose of the change, how it relates to us improving the service or the experience, they're going to start seeing themselves as collaborators instead of critics. You're going to get that buy-in on the change, and the atmosphere is going to remain positive. And the better they understand the policy or the product, the process change, and since they understand how it's all going to relate to that overall picture, you're going to get less resistant. I'm a father of 3 kids, Steve. I love it when my kids follow the rules. It'd be great if they ate their vegetables, clean their room, call their grandparents, right? I haven't won every battle, but they are eating their vegetables on their own.
That's good.
Yeah, they want to stay healthy. But that's the bigger picture, stay healthy, right? But, they're getting outside, right? After sitting in class all day and they're getting their exercise. They're even holding me accountable when they want to play and they see I've been sitting on the couch all day or too long, making bad choices. But the same goes for my team too, right? I want them to just not follow the rules, but also understand why we have them and to make decisions based on that align with that bigger picture. And when they do that, they start owning their own growth. They hold each other accountable as a team, and they even challenge me when they see a better way forward. I don't see that as a threat to leadership or take it personal. That's how you build leaders at every level. And when your team is thinking that way, Steve, the customer's going to feel it. You don't just get a scripted answer. They get somebody who's invested in creating best experience. And I can expect that from everybody in my department, and we hold each other to that high standard.
The word that comes to mind that we throw around a lot, just like we throw around words like vision, right? And mission and things like that. Those can be just plaques on the wall or, words on a website page that kind of is written and nobody really pays attention to. But what you're defining here and you're painting a very vivid picture is a culture that is very different than I think operates in a lot of, contact center, customer support environments. Is that a good word for it? Or how do you think about it? Like the culture that you're creating, like supporting, you got each other's back, right? And, having a mission and a purpose and all of that. How do you think about it?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, I want us all rowing in the same direction, just working together towards that common goal. So I always try to look at when I structure the department or structure our initiatives, I look at it in four different ways. What does success look like? What is that North Star we have for our customers? And what is that North Star that we have internally? It's two different things. Then we look at why we do it, right? What is the problem that our product solves? And we put ourselves in the customer's shoes and think of the impact we'll have if we solve it. Then I look at how are we going to do it? What tools are we going to use? What's our approach? How can we make it easy for the customer? And then lastly, how are we going to do it? What are our KPIs and the standards we've set? Where are they now? How are they trending? How can we do better? So ultimately, it all goes back to that mission, right? Mission gives purpose, metrics give direction, and together they're going to build a team that performs and grows.
So you talked in our last conversation about future proofing human value. Can you explain what you meant by that?
Yeah, that's a good question. If you haven't figured out, yes, we have to fix the customer's issue in front of us, right? But if that's all we're doing, I think we're leaving so much on the table because with every interaction, there's also an opportunity to create an advocate for your brand. So customer service is extremely target marketing for recurring business. And that's why we measure NPS scores, CSAT, handle times. Those are all important, right? And ultimately, the way I see it, the customer service interaction is a seed that you're planting into that customer's mind. And the way we show up is going to determine whether that seed grows into loyalty or doubt next time they're making a purchase. And if every interaction reflects consistency, care, and alignment with your mission, then people are going to start looking at your company as the benchmark for what great service should feel like. And that's what we aim to do, right? We should aim to build the best customer support in the industry. And honestly, it's a lot easier than we think, but it takes a leader to bring it to life. And it takes that North Star, that vision, and that mindset all working together to reach that common goal.
Here's an interesting question, because I don't always know the right question to ask. What question haven't I asked? Like, what area haven't we covered that you want to really make sure that we communicate on in our conversation here today?
Oh gosh. I mean, I think we've covered a lot. If you haven't figured it out by now, mindset is central to and core to everything we do. If we really want our service to be truly exceptional, you can't just train people on scripts and tools. You shouldn't just tell them what to do and how to do it. You certainly can take that approach, but you won't be happy with the result. You could have a team that's simply robotic and you'll end up cleaning up way more experiences than you want. But the best customer service teams are trained on mindset. They understand that why behind what they do, and they don't take for granted the impact they have on the customer's day. And they see themselves part of something bigger, like a bigger culture working towards a shared goal. And when we invest in people, building people who think critically, they're able to zoom out and understand that ripple effect of interaction. That's when the team truly flourishes. So my call to leaders is this, don't settle for average. Build your team with intention, give them the bigger picture, watch as they elevate your brand in ways that technology alone can't. A good comp would be, you're conducting an orchestra, right? If every musician focused on playing the notes in front of them, you'd have a lot of noise. But when you understand the bigger picture, when they know how their part fits into that symphony, that's when you're going to create music that people can't forget. And that's what great customer service can be.
I love it. We've covered so much territory here, and our poor human brains can only retain about two or three things at a time. So I'd love to ask you this question, which is, if for all the CX, customer support, contact center professionals that are, tuning into this conversation, if there was one thing that you wanted to make sure that they took away from this conversation, what would that one thing be?
I think I kind of maybe touched on it and answered it in the prior question is don't settle for average. Really just invest in your team, zoom out, evaluate what does success look like for my customers? What does success look like internally? And just work backwards from there. But I think mindset needs to be at the center of everything. It's when my team shows up with energy and intention, I realize they're not just helping one customer, right? Like, for example, we at Mastermind, what we do is we build coaches. And what we realize is that, if somebody is having a login issue, it's not just impacting that one person. It has a ripple effect. It's like throwing a stone into the water. It doesn't stop at that first circle. If we solve it, it'll keep expanding. And that, our team is going to be able to help that one customer, but they're going to go on and help dozens of other people. And that's what I'm most proud of as well, is that my team understands that they are part of something bigger and they take that responsibility to heart. So lead by example, lead with intention, and just lead with heart.
I have to say that people are going to have questions, I'm sure. Is it okay if I give out a link to your LinkedIn profile as an example that people can reach out, get hold of you?
I welcome that. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, so our goal here on the podcast is to bring really different and unique insights and perspectives based on different, experiences and backgrounds and industries. And if we do that, that's the rising tide that lifts all boats. And I just like to say that I think you are a really important part of that rising tide today. And just wanted to say I appreciate that you came on and shared your insights with us.
Thank you. It's an absolute privilege to be here. And yeah, great customer service will never go out of style. So I welcome anybody reaching out. I love this space. I love helping people, and let's make a difference and let's make the world a better place every day.